In this lesson, we'll begin building the suspension cable system for our bridge. Alright, so now that I have my points in place, our connection points basically along this vertebrae, as well as along this archway, we can now take those 2 points, 1 and 2, keep those in mind, and create our adaptive components for our cable. So I'm going to Control Tab and jump to our images real quick, just so we know what we're working with. So there's going to be 3 main pieces to this cable system we're working with. So we have our middle piece, which is the actual suspension cable. We have a connection piece that connects to our arch and a connection piece that connects to our vertebrae here on the bottom. So with that in mind, let's get into creating the system. So I'm going to Control Tab until I get to my arch adaptive component, and I'm going to delete what we created here. And it's a good thing I saved it, so we can then reference it later, so I can delete those elements. Now I'm going to save as. I'm going to save these, or save this, as my support cable. So we'll say support cable. So now we'll take those 2 points that I just showed you, after setting our level 1 as our work plane. So we'll go point 1 and 2. We'll make those adaptive by highlighting and go make adaptive, and we'll also connect them with a spline, but I want to make sure that that spline is a reference line. So now we're going to set our first work plane on point 2, and now we're going to basically create the cross section. So this cross section is going to need to be pretty small, so it's going to have a radius of about 1 inch. So I'm going to go with a circle, and I'm going to get in here as close as I can get. If I'm too far away, I won't be able to achieve that 1 inch radius because it'll be too small on my screen. But let's get out here till we get to about 1 inch. So we're at 3/4. So there's our first one. And then we'll go do the same thing with the other one. So we'll go set, come to this work plane, highlight it, set it, go with our circle, and we're going to go with 1 inch radius on this one as well. So we'll go 1 inch. 3/4 to about 1 inch. I guess I scrolled in pretty close here to where it makes that circle look pretty large, but we haven't done. So now it's just a matter of selecting my line, selecting the circle we just drew, holding down my control button so I can select multiple. We'll select this other one as well. Now we'll create form, and we've just created our cable. Easy as that. 2 points. So now I can pick 2 points, and this will go basically in any orientation or any, it could stretch in any way I want it to. So now we just need to create our connection points for both point 1 and point 2. So to do that, I'm going to open up a new massing environment. So I'm going to come here, we'll go new, conceptual mass, go with the basic massing template. Now I'm going to be really mindful of the orientation of this. So I want to make sure that the bolted connection I can see from the front. And I want to make sure, we're going to have one connection will be built up basically from this reference line up this way. And then later on we'll do the same thing, but with the orientation going this way. That way we have a connection at the vertebrae as well as at the arch. So let's get started with our circle, or our first connection piece. So we'll go set, level 1, make a circle here. And my first radius, this will be the biggest one here. This will be what's actually connected to the arch. It needs to be 4 inches. So we'll say 4 inches. And it's just too small on the screen, so we just got to scroll in a little further. Let's try that one more time. So we'll go circle, say 4 inches, and there it is. So now I'm going to create form, and I want this to be about 9 inches tall. So we'll use that as my form. Go from 3 inches to 9 inches. Now I'm going to set my next work plane, which will be this surface. And I'm going to go to the top view. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangular plate that will actually be welded to this piece. So we'll go with rectangle, and I'll just kind of throw it in here really quick. But I do have certain dimensions for this, so I want this to be 1 inch thick, and it does need to be lined up with the center point here. So we'll grab this, and we'll move it, and make sure it snaps into point there, as well as what's going on here. So we'll move it one more time. So I'm going to grab its midpoint here and see if I can't snap it there. That way it's centered nicely on there. So now I'll go back to a nice orbiting 3D view here. I'll select that shape we just drew, create form, give it a dimension as well. This would be 9 inches. So we've created our first piece. So this is actually welded to this. So in the next lesson, we're going to create the second half of our piece, which will be what's connected to our cable. So I'll see you in the next lesson.